serious.
Right. Apologies for absence.
Just Tracy Kimberly.
Okay, declarations of interest. Don't think I've got anything. Anybody got declarations? Minutes of the last meeting. Right, we were all here. Has anybody got a problem with the accuracy first of all? Page 1, page 2. Right. So I've got to sign these.
Proposer in second,
On which?
or eight?
Today's date is 54 and it's 25. Here we are, Wendy. That's okay. Since I've signed a lot of those over the years. Right. Right, now we're on to matters arising or updates. Have you got any specific updates at the moment, Wendy? Right, just looking at it. We are making a look at the pensions audit a priority, aren't we?
Yeah. Because I've got year end, if I don't get time to do that, I have got delegated authority to request the
I think we need to do that.
RFO to do it.
If we can't get it done by early May, then I think we've got to delegate Wendy.
Yeah.
I think on that one. And the mandatory training for councillors on finance and personnel, we haven't brought that to full.
Yeah, I've got that. It was in the health and safety, it was in the cultural review, wasn't it?
Yes.
So it's, when we have to do it, agree to accept in the cultural review. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I see you've done it there.
It was in there, yeah.
Oh, right, okay. So
But
when we
that
come,
is in the middle of being done because you'll accept people in May, I presume.
so yes, so we do that after the annual meeting, we'll be in committees, right.
Hopefully, I mean, the DNA one doesn't have to have, and I think it's a recommendation, we don't have a personnel committee until there's a staffing issue or
Right, okay,
an issue,
okay.
so it'll just be finance.
Finance and amenities.
Well, it don't really need any good
No,
qualifications for amenities, do you?
It's common
So
sense.
it's mainly just
Common
finance.
sense, is that what you got?
They let me chair it, so you can't
Right, the other thing, we were going to look into legislation around the ability of town councils to purchase assets with the prime purpose of generating.
Yeah, I have got some information on PWLB, and as long as it's regeneration, then you can get PWLB loans, and you can, so if we decided to go for a cemetery, that's community asset regeneration of that area, so that'd be okay. If we decided to go for something next door, that's regeneration then. So as long as it's regeneration, if that's something that we decided to do.
There's a typo there, no T in the essence.
Okay, I will change that.
Okay. Right, anything else? Got much? No? Right, now let's turn to income and expenditure report. You've got 3 reports here.
I think it makes sense.
There's a lot of numbers going around here to the right.
I think once we've got everything in order, it would be nice to move to a situation where we can probably have a 1-page summary that just sets out.
The 24-25 budget was a bit, and when you, for the new one, it will be a lot easier.
Well, I think, if we could, I think probably in 12 months' time, move to about to be in a position where we have a 1-page summary, because at the moment it's a mess of figures.
Yeah.
I
I mean, the gross total, because these were right up to the 31st, so the income, the total was 569,677. The payment
Which
was,
page you quote when, so.
I'm quoting on page 5 of the summer.
If you just hold a minute,
Oh, sorry.
Wendy, I'll just
All right.
say what you've got in front of you is actually, just to help you.
Right.
Just to help you, where's it gone? Please.
I just thought.
Right, here we are. You've got 3 reports in front of you. You've got one which is a comparison of 24-25 with 23-24. You've then got another one, a committed expenditure for 24-25, which shows variances. And then you've got a receipts and payment for 24-25. The figures actually in the committed and receipt payments, the summary figures are exactly the same. And the budget figures, all but the committed's got is you've got the actual variance which is there. So when
The cost centre comparison is probably the best one to look at because that is budgeted and what are compared to last year.
So let's look at comparison then, shall we? The end figures are all the same, aren't
Yeah.
they? Right, do you want to introduce this one?
So you've got receipts for the current year and payments.
Are you with us on the right page?
So this is the cost centre year comparison summary. Page 5, which is the last page. Yeah.
483, 541, 467 across the bottom.
Yeah, that's for last year, and the first two columns are for this year.
Yeah.
So you'll see, and all these gross totals are the same for each page, but you'll see what was budgeted. Budgeted was 483, and actuals receipts was
541.
541, so we've made 28,000 extra than what was budgeted. But that would mainly be because of even though we've got less, I paid 50,000, didn't I? So we have got less than what was budgeted for, because if we didn't have that 50,000, we'd be well overspent.
I was going to say, we've struck it lucky because
Yeah.
Well, what eventually you
we
got,
found more and we spent more.
yeah,
I don't think one was a consequence of the other, was it?
no,
We
what you've
We've
got,
had a lot of staff.
No.
what you've got on receipts is a budget of 483,070. We actually, once we've got the VAT back, 541,362, which over budget was a variance of 58,000. And that is mainly due to an electricity refund on the park. The fact that we collected in 2 years of revenue from the county council for doing the verges.
Yeah.
And also our interest was up over budget by nearly 5,000. So that's that I think is the three main things, isn't it?
My question would be on that, was it a conscious decision to spend more because we had more income coming in, or have we just struck it lucky that the two things, we got more income and expenditure?
We've spent more because of what's been happening.
So we've just been fortunate.
That we've got
That
the
we've-
money to pay,
we've had
but if not, we
additional
would have to
income,
spend
yeah,
some of
I
our.
mean, there is one or two things on this.
In deficit, won't we?
There is one or two things, yes, so we spent 54,000 more than budget.
Yeah.
I mean, the budget wasn't the most reliable budget that was set.
Please
But
don't take any comment, I'm not criticising any.
We didn't do it, so I don't
care. It wasn't the case of we found this extra money, we're going to spend it. It was
No.
a case of
One
we
of the
had it,
things-
this expenditure.
But one of the things that it does encompass is that we didn't take any money out of reserves, even though it was there for things like the new lighting at Market Cross.
Yeah.
We didn't take our money out of reserves for the office move or for vehicle maintenance.
Oh, we have, because the reserves are now zero, aren't we? So we spent on the lighting, I think it was 11,000, so we only had a reserve of 5, so that come extra out.
Okay.
But anyway, we didn't take that out. It includes the gator.
Yeah, okay.
That's in there. So the thing that has gone overspent, and it's not just wages, it's salaries. But that's a combination of pensions, tax, and also wages. So it's a combination of three things. Some of that, I think, is a reflection of poor budget setting, because we should know at any one time what the salaries are, what we would expect to pay in
Yeah,
tax and
what we've got, eight grand worth of wages and £18,000 worth of remuneration to 18 months.
So that's it. So we have actually accommodated with when you think about lighting and new vehicles, a lot more maintenance on them to get things up to scratch. We have accommodated all of that. If we hadn't spent it on that, we would have been under budget actually.
So well over budget with CCTV, general streetlights, I don't know why that was in the budget.
I suppose what we do have though is these numbers are actually spent this year to form an opinion on the budget for next year.
Well, we've got a budget. What will have to be done is that the officers will be going through the budget. We've got a set budget in terms of what we approved in November.
Yeah.
But given that it's now 6 months away and there's been various changes, we will have to revise that. We can't revise the precept.
No.
And the officers will be doing that, and that will be brought before us. Well, we'll have to decide that whether we want to bring it before us before the annual meeting.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, hopefully I can do. Well, I'll have to because it has to be done before the internal auditor comes, so I'll have to review it.
So we'll have
I think we might have to have a finance meeting
That's
in
what I
May.
thought.
Yeah, to
before.
revise it, yeah.
You'll also see that on page 4, the poppies, well, that's well over budget, and that's because I've had to get that compliant. I've had to pay for insurance for it, and I've had to get it up and running as it should be.
Oh, it's absolutely good.
So there is a lot of cost, but that is because I've been correcting stuff.
First thing that stood out to me, I mean, where did all that come from?
What's that?
Obviously, yeah.
Poppies, yeah. It
But I mean,
is,
the important thing
That's
is we've accommodated everything this year, and we still had a small surplus of just over 4,000.
Yeah.
So, we were not having to dip in seriously into reserves in order to balance the books. But there are certain things where, in terms of expenditure, it was less than the budget, and no doubt when the budget is set for this year, we'll be looking at certain of these areas as well as changing their headings, because that will start to indicate, because we're obviously providing budgets that we don't have that level of expenditure. But there'll also be certain budgets where what we had in will be insufficient, and we'll have to balance that out and increase.
Sounds like we've got to move some numbers around.
Yes,
Try to get back to the same number we had previously.
that's about right. That's about right. Yeah.
Oversimplify.
It generally works.
And I mean,
you know, the
yeah,
stuff coming out might not be budgeted, but we've got to spend it just to get ourselves. I mean, we've been spending so much, a lot of money on vehicle maintenance, because it was needed. It was brought up in the health and safety audit that they all needed servicing, so we paid for them all to be serviced.
But we also may then need to start looking at these for the next 12 months at whether we acquire new vehicles, either by financing or leasing.
Well, yeah, the trailer, the van's now gone in because that's got a major problem on it, where an ECP light is on, or an EPC light, I'm not too sure anyway, it's shutting them on. So I don't know how much that will cost us to be
that's
done.
right. I mean, and all the tree cutting that.
Oh yes, the tree cut, you know,
So that
well
comes
over.
in, that's going to come in most of it in this
But he's
year.
coming tomorrow, he came today to start.
So we haven't, that's not in this, the one we've just got, it wasn't in last year's budget, it's the current budget.
There's risks, so. I just
But,
need
you
to
know,
get
it
done.
hasn't been done, so we've got to accommodate that. There's a real issue around the cemetery project, about how we fund it. We've got money following the sale of the house in the cemetery, some of which has been spent, and that's been separately identified.
It was in general, was that?
Because which is, and it should have been separated out. Clearly, there are proposals coming to amenities for a new portable cabin hut.
Oh, it was agreed
That's
at the
been
last
agreed.
council meeting, however, I've got to bring it back to this council meeting because the one that was agreed is just A, because I didn't do the report because I was otherwise.
But, right,
It's
so
not correct, so it's got.
it's got to come back. There's the issue about getting a better water tank there, supply, which Lord Wilson and Bloom are content with it from our usage when we use it. So, there is a reserve for that, but there will be a question once we've got indicative planning approval, indicative not actual approval, but we can go where we want to go with it, then how we're going to finance that new cemetery is something we're going to have to take a decision on in the next year.
Plus any new projects that are coming up,
Any
you know,
new
we
project.
may be able, we
But
may
I
want
mean-
to take other stuff from district.
But I mean, the thing with the cemetery, if we didn't, probably in order to do it, would use up all our reserves on that alone. But they are the kind of things which you can go to the public works landlord and borrow money to do. But we've got money there to do with all the preliminary works such as planning applications, surveying.
Yeah,
The
well,
cost of the planning applications has gone up significantly.
Well, we've got there's money in the reserves for that.
Yeah.
But when we actually come to doing the works, we've got the costings. My personal view is that the recommendation will have to go to the public works London. It's a logical thing to do.
Absolutely.
Till we've got some indicative copy, obviously, on the land.
we're waiting for district, we're waiting for highways to say whether we can have access. That takes
That's
ages.
the critical thing, we can't get access.
No, don't we?
The right place, and it's an awkward location.
Yeah.
That's a bit of feel, not that I remember.
When I have been down the cemetery, there is loads of space still.
Yeah.
I don't know what the urgency was, but there
Right,
is
okay.
loads and loads of space still.
Right. Well, I don't know. Anyway, that's where we are, but in terms of the immediate projects such as the improved water supply and the portable cabin, there is money in the cemetery project reserve for that.
Yeah, so
It's capital and there's money in the reserve for that. Right, okay. Is Paul, have you got anything else on the figures?
No,
As I say, I think
it's a welcome.
Yeah.
we have a more robust budget, and what I'd like to move towards by next year this time, if it's still the same three of us around here, or a few more hopefully, but there could be some summary setting out.
yeah, I mean, what I would have time, I would use this and I would put it into a different type of Word document and just collect the
Yeah,
data that you need. You don't need all this other.
No, because it's just a massive figure,
Yeah.
you've just got
But it's just something that we're working on. Obviously, we're going to get better codes and stuff more
What are-
detailed.
One of the recommendations of the external audit was that information is presented to councillors which is more easily understandable and they can understand the trends.
I mean, if you're not very figure-wise, you would have, it's difficult to understand this.
Yeah, just, I mean,
You see the district council, we have to go through.
Yeah.
But we do get a summary, but I mean, you know, I thought this, but I mean, yeah, in order to understand it, I did all this using so that I actually last week, so I know where we are. But it's
See, I can do a summary like this.
that's really what we want. If you've got a comment either side of it,
I'll
like this,
photocopy that.
what you can do, finally I get it back.
Oh,
really?
That's all I do.
something, I mean, all of this detail is granular detail is really, really interesting. If you spot a big variance and you want to know where it comes from.
Yeah, so I can bring the documents with
But-
me.
but something
I don't
that
need to
has
send it back to you.
Just, for admin, our budget is that, we spent today, we've committed this, we're on track to hit that,
Yeah.
tick. But if there is a big variance, just, a sentence underneath to explain why, and that would give us enough to be going on with, wouldn't it? I thought.
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at these things and my experience and background is that what we're looking at is variances against budget. Whether it's receipts or whether it's expenditure, and it's where they look significant that we don't want to blow into. The difference that we had this year was that it wasn't a particularly robust budget, so a good measure necessarily, but we should be no much better next year.
We've actually got the information.
Yeah.
In the form that's usable.
But we need to change some of the budget and things like that tell us nothing.
It's swings and roundabouts in there, but ultimately it's turned out okay.
Never have a miscellaneous.
Miscellaneous is another one.
Not by luck.
It's all by love and judgment, but,
Anything else, I don't think.
Hey, occasionally we'll take it.
We had funding coming in that we didn't.
I mean, there's things like the cemetery budget, well, apart from the water, electricity, I'm advised that very little goes in there, so the budget you've got is 3 times probably what we need. Things like that, we've got to be
That's the thing, and then you've got 3 times, you're right, okay, well, we won't cut it completely down, we'll allow for getting inflation and whatever, and add a couple of grand on some contingency,
Now-
end up at 12 or something.
of this, yeah. Of this, what goes to full council? The whole lot,
I'll just do one of these if you want me to.
or you can type it all up if you like. Don't use.
I'm not going to photocopy it and send that, no.
Give me advice, but anyway,
Do you say look at do the calculations for you?
I think it will do, but I'd like to give you a bit more detail, but I
Yeah.
think Scribe will do.
but you can put your own comments there, Wendy. I just noticed some of them down, so I've done, because it was, what was Right, okay, so can we formally move that, I propose?
You don't have to propose, I've just received it, proposed by,
Okay,
proposed by Paul H. Second by Eric.
yeah.
You didn't see it yet.
Right,
That's that one, and then, bank statements.
bank statements.
I think Paul sees these quite regularly on the.
Yeah, that's pretty, coming again pretty soon.
Yeah.
Again,
The
that,
100,000 has been moved to the CCL savings, so I got 185,000 in there. And I think we got £900 interest this month. Just been
yeah, well, it will be, I mean, we're budgeting for about 15,000 in interest for the next year, so, I mean, the bank reconciliation, the amount of money that we've got in the bank at the end of the year, 468,000, is slightly up on the 453, which again reflects the small surplus. What I think, we've now got more money in savings accounts. Is there an issue about we've got to move some of this during the year, because if we keep it more than a year, then it becomes a capital sum and fixed?
No, it's if you invest money for more than 2 years,
Oh, it's
like you
not.
have a 2-year bond or something, so we can keep this money in there, because it's only
It's just rolling in
it's
instant
an
access.
instant access.
And the other thing is whether, given we've got a Unity Trust instant access account, if we're not spending it all in 3 months, whether we can just do some short-term investments for 3 months?
We can do, and also in May, we will get another 250,000, won't we?
Right. Can I ask that you look at that when it comes in, Wendy? Because the whole point, the whole point of it is that we only need really to have a 1% bank account, 3 months worth of money.
Yeah, the rest ought to be earning a bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True remains.
I'm going to look it up somewhere, if we suddenly did need something, we can
Well, you
get
can
to
take it out.
lose interest anyway, that's
We-
fine, isn't it?
We may have a big expenditures soon, so I haven't moved any at the moment.
No, we've got to be cautious,
Yeah.
but as you say, we will get 230,000. Is it the end of April, beginning of May? it
End
comes
of
in?
May. End of May.
End of May, is it?
But in any
We get
case,
it twice, May and September.
this is much better than it was historically, because at least some of it is now in interest.
Oh,
yeah,
So
it was.
that's-
I mean, we could open another one, there's, another bank account we could open, we don't come under the regulations because we have more than £500,000 worth of, is it 500,000 or what have you? We won't have more than 500,000, so we don't come under the FSA regulations,
Right.
the 85,000, so I could put more in the regular account.
Right. Yeah, I
Or we could
mean,
put more in the CCLA savings, I mean, that is the one that's.
what when we
instant access.
inherited was it's all stuck in a 1% account.
Going in and well, going very little interest.
So, right. Is there any questions on that one?
Well, the observation would be, if we're about to say, yes, this is all okay, should we see the bank statement that's got that number on it?
That would be what the internal scrutineer does.
That's right, okay?
Yeah.
Cool, thank you.
So he does that.
That's my question.
Coming back on that.
Not next week, the week after
Yeah.
Friday.
So, yeah, it's fine.
Right, so.
I could copy each if you wanted me to.
No,
Three
it's fine, no,
times.
no, no. You told me what the process is, and that's fine.
So, what do we move? Do we just that we receive it?
Yeah.
Right, I'll move that then. Paul second. That's done.
Okay,
Right. To receive the reserve statement.
earmark reserves, yeah.
In what reserves.
Move on.
When I first saw this, I have to say I struggled.
Both.
But it's partly because the opening balances that we had, I don't, when I looked at them last year, I don't think I ever saw one that was the same.
It was a right mess.
It-
I think.
That was probably the best way of putting it. So really, it's a lot of figures that they're moving in and out. What it does mean is that we've now separated out the capital sum for the cemetery. Is that a lot of it is just accounting entries where money that we've not used to reserve for it, so we put it back in.
Yes, so the Lightning and the market cost, we used all that reserve to make it known, so I've done a transfer back into general fund. The Woodfield drainage has all been done, so we've used that thing.
Yeah.
The office move, we had 1,449, but I don't need any more for office move, so I've made that 7 now. The vehicle maintenance, I took 5,000 out.
So for Woodfield Downs, what we're saying, sorry, for the lighting and market cost, we're saying we had £5,000.
It cost us 11,000.
It cost us 11, so we transferred 6,600 in.
To make it 7.
To balance, yeah, fine, okay, got that.
Because that should never have come in, that 11,000 should never have been in the earmark reserve because it was never reserved, but I don't know what happened there, so I'm just trying to split that, that's
And
it.
if you look at the expenditure figures, one of the reasons we've gone over the top is because we accommodated a lot of this in the budget and didn't go to reserve.
So personnel budget, we never spent any money, so I've made that 7 now, because in the new budget, we don't have a budget for each reserve, we just have it as in the amenities full budget.
Okay.
I don't understand why I did not understand why each committee had a budget, because there's just a budget in the,
Yeah, it's
it was just,
historical reason,
Awkward.
that each committee could spend up to that budget without having to refer to full council in the past.
But why it's in reserve, I don't know.
that is not even in the budget, is it? Because if it's a new if there's an amenities budget, then it can be used, but we usually take everything to council anyway, don't they? We make recommendations.
But, I mean, there's got to be a revised budget anyway,
Yeah.
so, which will have to be approved by full council.
It's the D&A budget, they were over, so I've just left that as a -78005, we might have to sort that out. But the market budget I put back into general reserve because we don't have a market committee anymore, the M&I did. The finance budget, we never spent anything, so I put it in there, but I've left 10,000 in
I mean, what it does mean is that there's the North Walsham Playground for the revised reserves budget, that will have to stay.
And then probably another, if we don't spend any money, then another 10,000
And
goes in.
then, given that we're taking over North Walsham Play after April, is it?
Yes,
So whatever money is in their bank account will be transferred to the
and then I'll
town.
put it into here.
But that will be an earmarked reserve,
Yes.
because it's quite specific that their funds are there to purchase new and maintain and replace existing equipment.
And they had that plan, didn't they, to purchase, to do the new playground at Woodfield and the Memorial Park, so it'd be quite nice to spend
So
that
we've
money.
got that.
We will have looked at the condition of the equipment when we take it over.
Well,
Have a full audit done of the state of the equipment.
well, it's ours now anyway, isn't it, it's in our asset register.
We need to know what replacements might be coming up.
Yeah, well, that's what is done when we have playground inspections.
It's amazing the cost of playing
I
equipment.
know.
So,
But
well,
that's all been handed over to us anyway, isn't it?
but they do inspect it each year anyway, so there's an is
We
it?
inspect
one
every
is-
week, and
is
then
it
we
week?
have
When do you have a-
hospital playground
When the
inspection.
hospital come in, is it once a year or
June.
twice?
June, just once a year.
Just once a year.
But they used to do a monthly inspection here, and then there was on insurance, I read it in on insurance, so it should be weekly, so I make them do it.
This is the ground staff doing it. Well, once
They are-
hospital's
they
been
are
June,
trained to do that.
that should tell us quite independently what equipment's there. And we might then have to change what's in there, but what it means is that the money that's transferred to us from North Walsham Play, that has to go into a separate budget, because it's quite clear it's for that purpose and not any other. But the interesting one you see is you've got cemetery projects at 73, you've also got new cemetery at 58,000. Well, this is why a decision's going to have to be made about if we do go for a new cemetery, how we're going to fund it.
So the top one is the balance of the
At the sale
sale proceeds of the
the house,
And that's capital,
that's capital.
Okay.
and this is money that's been put aside.
Put the other side, but whether we need to have it, it's going to depend on how we fund it if we have a new cemetery.
I think there's a lot of work to do around that one yet, and apart from planning issues, is to know what is the realistic life of the existing cemetery in terms of number of spaces available, how many years.
If you go into the chapel, obviously the North Chapel and South Chapel is, we only do reopeners in there, so they're like those cemeteries, so you only got the chapel side then. But when I was there, I mean, the left-hand side of the chapel has got loads of room, but they, for some reason, the parsonage groundsman would not go back as far, but there's loads of it. I don't know why, and James said he didn't know why, because that would never go back that far. It's not even there trees or anything,
Is
just
it
didn't
ground
want
that's
to go back.
never been used, or is it ground that's been used and
It's never been used, so there's a great big area
Okay.
that the previous groundsman didn't want to use, but I don't know why.
Must have got the data of all the burials and.
Yeah, got all the data, and there's this great big area which
We
would
can-
fit another man,
We can
50
project,
or
we can
60.
project, likely, remaining life of that cemetery.
Why don't we like them
10
to
trees a
know
year.
from highways indicative?
I keep chasing them, they just take so long. I will chase them up again,
You might need
we
to,
keep passing them up.
what's it called, you might need to talk to Paul, Saul Penfold.
Yeah, I will chase
And
them. I
ask
have
him
to
to
chase it up.
do a bit of pushing and shoving.
Be fair as well, that's some major surgery.
Yeah, but it's normally quite good. Saul to get back to.
Have you just been foisted off by a case officer then at highways?
Oh yeah, there's a guy called Damien, and there was somebody else, and then I got to go back to Damien, and he came out to see me and Bob, and he said he didn't think that was a
Well,
problem.
the other time, I mean, if Saul has got, he's got some incapacitation at the moment, because to go to Lucy.
Yeah.
Doesn't really matter, I don't think, don't be too picky about boundaries, it's just a question that somebody needs to send an email to somebody to say, look, they need to sort this.
That's too bad. And the crew road in Lucy's, or is it in Seoul? I'm not sure.
That's in Saul's.
Yeah.
She's a district member, but it's the county, it's North Walsham West.
I'll chase that up. Yeah. So that's your reserve statement, so at the end of the year, or beginning of the new year, I'll put another 10,000 in North Walsham Play, earmarked,
Well,
and sort it out, because we said that we put 10,000 in every year.
did we?
Yeah.
Well, if we need it, unless, I mean,
Well, we just put it in there and think, because they had a new playground, didn't they? And somebody did bring up, well, if we've got all this money, why aren't we investing in getting that playground equipment done?
right, okay, I mean, I'm not against it, I don't know what they've got in their bank when it comes in, so.
So we'll see, but that was, I think it was like 200,000, wasn't it? So we could go out for grant for, we could go
But
out to.
There is some new
grant to get-
equipment that's needed, that's one thing that's there, but we can build it up, it's not a problem, because I do question whether this 58,000.
It'd be nice to finish off the memorial park, because there isn't anything up there ready for the older.
You know,
There's
it's
a lot
just.
for the younger people, but there's nothing for the younger.
But so I think the outcome of this is that, I think that, what have we got to do? Just note the reserve
Yeah.
vote. But also, I
And
think
accept
we need to put in the minutes that, as a priority, we need to, determine,
The need of the new cemetery.
well, both the need for a new cemetery, but also, whether there is likely to be a positive or negative planning indication. Because the more we talk about this, I mean, we're just sitting there.
Can we just not put planning in anyway, because we get planning reasonably and set, and then highways would have to make a comment on it anyway, wouldn't they?
Well, an outline application could be put in.
Yeah,
You need to check the costs currently, it's not.
we get half price, don't we, as a,
That's happening, no way, that's just change all the rules.
but we spent 7,000 on having the ball.
Yeah,
All
we
testing.
need to have the exact boundaries, an indication of the access, because an outline would be literally that, an outline application of use of the land as a new cemetery, with the only detailing the information on the access.
So if I'm putting outline planning applications, highways have to act on that, don't they? If I'm getting no response from them, that might be a way to go forward.
Yeah, highways would have to respond at that point, because they're statutory constituted.
Is that something, is that going to go through a read sheet, or if you're going to make it outline, is that something that's got to go to full council?
I think full council.
Well-
I think before we get to that point, we do need to be clear as to whether within the next, I don't know, 25
Yeah,
years.
I will go and
we
take
actually
it, we'll
need-
take that to DNA, because we've got, well, we got DNA in May, haven't we?
Right,
So-
well, I think first of all, we need to get some idea about the amount of space in the existing cemeteries, what the likely demand is been, which we will know from recent years.
Yeah.
So we need that information. It would be nice for the officers to give us an indicative view, because then that avoids the cost of an outline planning portion. But as Paul says, the only way we might be able to push them to do something is make an outline planning portion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Grand Bygrave, does that name, Grand Bygrave, does that name sound familiar to you? John Hanna? Okay, so they're two guys that we engage with at Highways Department.
That's the Bygrave, I think. I don't know if it's in
I live anything to do with county highways.
So that's what we need to do.
I'll chase it again. I know Bob just chased it just recently, and they said, well, we've got to go to a meeting to discuss that.
So, but, you know, we ought to be able to get some advice without making an outline planning application, because but if you've got to do that, we've got to do that.
It's always better to warm them up and have a conversation with them before
Yeah,
they
yeah,
know
yeah.
what they're likely to respond to your consultation, rather than just chucking in a paper.
So can you propose and
You
second
bet,
to
you
accept
bet,
this
you
as
bet.
Yeah, that's what I proposed.
Well,
No, second.
two balls.
So I just gave an update on the external financial review. We read it now.
We're complete.
Back
If
to
we're actually
process.
getting there, some things we
We are
can't
getting
do, have been deferred just for the moment, but we might be able to move ahead more quickly on some of it than we thought.
So I just to let you know that the internal auditor is booked for the 5th of June. So she will be coming to finish off her internal auditors, and then I've got the AGAR to go through. So the variances on the AGAR will be a bit complicated because of what's been spent and things. But I'm going through that and training Jess up to do that.
What I was going to ask on VAT surcharge, it says that the returns should be reported to each finance committee. Am I missing something? I don't ever seem to have seen them. But I'm not sure what I'm looking for.
Do you? I can let you know. I missed that. I can let you have a VAT return.
Well, it doesn't matter this time round, but
No.
the next finance committee
Yeah.
meeting, you do need to have one.
Okay.
And the only other observation I had was that if we're in a position where the relevant staffing issues have been resolved by the next finance committee meeting, whether we can proceed with outsourcing or not.
Yeah.
Public assessment, we'll say more.
We've got a confidential confidential, I don't really to add to that.
Yeah, but below the line, but I mean, that's just an observation, we need to look at that, but we can't do anything at the moment.
Yeah.
Um,
I'll just put that you received this and then a comment and
Yeah.
no actions.
that's it.
So this has got to go to full council and a health and safety one, just so the public
Yeah.
will publish it, so.
Yeah, that's right.
I just put received and no comments. Now Nicola's started, she is complete and taken off, so.
Yeah.
I've still got, even though they do the numbers audit said to get rid of the street names, I'm reluctant to do that because I do like the street names on there, so we can, I refer to the street names quite a bit, so I'm not going to, on our website, we have street names on our website and
Okay.
where East Ward is and where West Ward is,
What's wrong with that?
I don't know, but I like them on there, so I'm not taking them off, I'm afraid, I'm
But
not
they're on,
gonna,
they're on an electoral register for the wards,
yeah.
which is in the public.
We don't have to take everything that she says, but I'm still keeping the street names because I know then what councillor is looking after.
If you pick up an electoral register, which is all in the public
Yeah.
domain, there's all the streets on there.
Yeah. So I just won't be acting on that part. So I will get rid of all the old mayors and the old clerks.
Some of the boundaries are quite odd,
Yeah.
particularly at district level.
Yeah.
I have one side of Pacer Road.
Yeah.
Plus about 5 houses on the right at the top.
Who works on that out? It's district, right? Isn't it?
When they did the new when they did the new boundaries, electoral services worked it out. I did have quite a bit from memory now, quite a bit of communication at the time.
It's all Eric's fault.
You could say that, because some of it was completely up, so I did iron some of it out, like the top of Bactron Road, but part of it was in Market Cross, and then another top of Bactron Road without any logic to it was then they suddenly stuck in Eastwood, and there was no clear line at all. So we did sort some of it out, but the parish boundaries, of course, are even more complicated because they go on polling districts. So you've got what's Ward, North Walsham, Market Cross, West, is it or something? Yeah. Anyway, yeah. All right. Anything else on that one?
I'm not sure if you're using the term office junior.
No.
Yeah, shall I change that?
General assistant.
Office administrator, but change it to office administrator. Okay, that's fine. I think when we advertised it was office junior, but administrator. Okay, I'll change that.
Yeah, we're looking for somebody who wants something to apprentice at that point, but
Yeah.
we get somebody with considerable experience.
Right, that's that one. Right, financial regulations,
So do you want me to lead on this one then?
if you could please, Wendy.
Financial regulations, I've taken that out of it, the petty cash, because it was part of Eleanor's report not to have petty cash no more. And we've got a card, so we don't use petty cash, we don't need petty cash. And the only other thing I changed was where it said clerk and RFO. I've put clerk stroke RFO, because that's me, clerk RFO I am at the moment. In confidential regulations have to be current. And I've put, in some of it, I've put and finance officer because she is the one who's doing the payments with me. So it's to add her in, take out clerk or RFO and put clerk stroke RFO. So it's me that does most of it, as well as the finance officer. That's all the amendments I made.
Is that card that we've got limited? I think it says in here something about limited to £500.
Yeah, it's limited, yeah. I wouldn't do anything with the finance on it. It's just to buy milk with and stuff like that, and stamps and things, that's all it is.
Yeah, no, I'd rather that than cash.
And we've got Swift's cards, so we've got trade accounts, Swift, we've got trade accounts, we use them if we need to. We don't have petty cash anymore, which is a lot easier, and we've had expenses than we've got to expenses for.
Okay.
They have fuel card genies, they have fuel cards to get fuel, and,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
Right, Any
The
questions?
card is used to pay for foreclosures and things like that, so.
On 4.2, it's got budget for salaries and wages.
They will be reviewed.
I've not seen that happening. Why do we do that specifically for salaries and wages? I mean, I don't mind doing it if there's
Financial year and the final.
I don't mind doing it if there's a reason,
It was just part of it, I mean, we can take them out if you want.
but would you like just to have a think on that?
Yeah, okay.
Because I don't mind doing it if there's a good reason for it, or the auditors.
Well,
say.
what we usually do is have a SLCC review, don't we? I think there was never one done for the grounds team, but I think there should be done on the Dame team. And I think you may need to think about doing another one because you may need to do another one, a job evaluation.
Right, but that's not job evaluation. Anyway, if we need to do it, we need to do it. If
That's
it's
just for
gonna be-
salaries and wages, that would be something that you would need to
Obviously,
look at.
obviously project ahead the likely pay rises, which is.
But that should be done.
That
That should be done in
Yeah,
the
the
budget
agency
generally
ones.
anyway.
Yeah.
It's just why it's been pulled out. I don't
It was
understand.
just in the new financial reg, so I just left it in.
But if there's a reason for it, we'll keep it.
Okay, I will go back and see if we need to.
I can't see it reason not to do it because it gives a clear
Yeah.
indication of cost.
Yeah.
We do a full review of all salaries and terms.
I mean, I don't suppose any of the councillors know how to start getting paid. So somebody needs to, don't they?
Well, certainly the mayor or who's ever in charge of personnel, possibly chair
We're
of
not
finance.
having personnel.
Well, no, the chair of finance and some idea in the mayor probably. Right. The other thing that I noticed that's not in the finance regulations but is in the standing orders is that in the standing orders that there should be a quarterly statement of receipts and payments.
There is.
But I couldn't find it in
There's
the
payments, isn't there, but the receipts and payments are on the summary reports that I give out every month
Ah,
to
and it
councils.
says,
So the summary report has receipts and payments on it.
the balance held and being, and which includes a comparison with the budget for the financial year.
Yes, and the statement that goes out to each council, summary of receipts and
Right,
payments.
right, that's fine.
Yeah,
Right,
with the
but it's,
budget,
well, it's in the standing orders,
yeah,
but it's not in the financial regulations.
because the standing orders are things that goes to the council, and
Ah,
that goes to the council every.
that's why, now I
I
understand.
always send a summary of receipts and payments.
Right, no,
I don't do it quarterly, I do it
No, no.
every month.
it's just, I couldn't understand why that was in fact the standing orders and this is not in the financial regs, but now I understand.
Yeah, is that all right?
Yeah, that's fine. Any other comments?
No, just a little tidying up.
I'm just going to tidy up just to keep it up to date.
Right.
Just to look at 4.2, so if you, do you want to propose and accept them, I think we should keep 4.2 in
Yeah,
it,
fine,
and
but
I
can you
think
just
that should
review the
be.
need, just say, can you just do a review and bring back to the the need for doing this?
Yeah,
I'm quite happy, as Paul says, if it's gonna help us, let's do it. Don't
I
it's in there.
think will have to be a big review coming up shortly. So proposed by Paul, second by Eric?
Yeah. Right, item 10 is to receive and agree a grant, that's all in public domain, isn't it?
I have got the schedule of their income, and what they've done at it to pay for 2 vans. I've left it upstairs, but I do have that, I have their insurance and everything else.
So you've got all the
I have got all the
necessary
necessary
documentation.
documents and what they want to spend it on, and it's for to pay for 2 vans.
Instead of moaning, they've got their act together and give us information.
Who are Walsham Community Events?
They are Colin Jerry, who does the Sunday and the Christmas lights.
Right, okay. So I just couldn't Google them earlier on and I found a Facebook page, but there's no detail behind it.
But he has done me a list of accounts, which I'm happy with.
Just observation.
I've left it upstairs if you can get them.
Presumably they'll be back at some point running towards Christmas lights. Building through, get rid of those 40-year-old ones.
Right, okay, so,
Does that tell us how they're getting, because it said the total thing's costing £11,000, so I don't know, in here, so.
Yeah, so
They give us the
they did,
detail
yeah,
of how the rest
the
is
money
being
spent,
funded,
and they
right.
have toilets and, oh, they spent a lot of money.
Yeah, do you know how they're funding the rest of it?
They fund it through, grants from shops and things, and they do, I think they do a Just Giving, things like that, they fund it on the day.
Right.
Stalls and things.
but we've got the accounts which
Yeah,
upstairs.
from upstairs, I can bring them down for you, but I've got my wife and let
I
you
mean,
know, so
well,
go to you.
I think what we need to minute.
I'm happy with it.
Right, well, can we just say we agree the grant and that the clerk confirm that we have the necessary financial and other documentation to comply with the
Yeah.
criteria for giving grants? That's what matters.
Documentation, and is happy.
Yeah.
And is happy.
Yeah.
Yes. So proposed by page, one second, right. I did have another one, but they're coming too late, so.
Can we take that or not? Is it got to be on the agenda?
Should we take it to full council?
Yeah, who's it from?
It's from North Walsham Community Network. They want £270. We aim to improve the health, wellbeing and development of individuals and groups in North Walsham, particularly those who face disadvantage and discrimination. We do this by improving access to information, communication and support building capacity and opportunities.
Okay, well, I
And
think,
it's for the hire of the community centre
right, is
for
this
their
event
volunteers day, yeah.
on the 7th of June, so we don't want to be delaying it, do we? Take it to full council.
Full council. Yeah, and I think they're gone to community shop for something else, for some of the other.
Right, date of the next meeting, so we're going to try and have a meeting in May, don't we? Before the annual meeting.
Oh gosh, yes.
We've got the diary there, and
So the annual meeting, which I'm not going to be here for, so Jasmine's there, probably not be.
this is the one this week?
Oh
No,
no, the annual,
one in
the
May.
annual town council meeting, which is in May the 27th.
Right,
I can do, the only one, 'cause the 13th is the DNA.
Yeah.
I could do, it's got to be 20th, I could do the 20th. I can't do the 7th, I can't do the 6th.
No, no, why?
oh, then we can.
20 is okay with me.
Oh,
20 is fine. Yeah.
And what time do you want it?
6 o'clock, please.
Sorry, that's my fault, 6 o'clock. Finance meeting.
okay. That's it. Right.
Recording.
And 13, is there anything below the line you need to report us?
Yeah, just one thing.
Okay, so, we'll vote then to go below the line. So thank you very much, Claire.
Thank you.
That's all right, take your time. It's only 25 past 7, so.
That's good, mate.
Yeah, sorry, 55 minutes.
55 minutes.
Okay. Your video from the carpet was good.
Was that all right?
Yeah.
I just wanted to get the ambience and feel.
Yeah. Busy car park.
Mm.
Busy.
Do we know actually how many cars were
They
there?
reckon there was 200, so she said she had 6 rows with 20 cars in each.
Wow, that's good.
A lot of money.
Yeah. Did you? How much was raised in the bucket then when they?
134 now.
Really? Bloody marvellous. Right, there you guys. See you later.
See you later.
Bye bye.